Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 396, and today we're doing battle with Taric, Zoe, Elusives. And so, within the past week, concurrent timelines really popped off, right? As the Mastering Runeterra event hit and somebody won with 3 concurrent timelines deck lists, someone else made the top 4 with it, and then it had a lot of success in the following Always Be Gaming tournament on the next day. Riot came in, made the emergency hotfix to the concurrent timelines, and it really kind of fell out of the format. But it was a bit unfortunate in the sense that people didn't really get the chance to brew. They didn't get the chance to shine and see if they couldn't overcome the timelines deck before it got that nerf in. And so ooh, cat. Sorry, I had a cat jump up. I saw those claws coming, and she says, hey, sorry to interrupt your video, but I'm here. But nonetheless, in that immediate week still following, Drissoth came forth with the answer to the concurrent timelines deck in playing Zoe Fizz, and the core to all of these Zoe decks that you're now seeing run a very similar game plan. As that, if you want to think of what concurrent timelines is going to do, it's going to play the concurrent timelines on turn 2, and then it wants to play a 3-drop, and then it wants to play a 4-drop, and then it wants to play a 5-drop. Nowhere over the course of this game are they actually like casting spells or doing anything interactive. They're just coming down and putting gigantic units on the board. And so the idea of the way to attack this is just to play elusives. And so if you say, okay, well, you're just going to put giant units on the board, I'm going to attack around them faster than anything that you're doing. And so that was the kind of start of the Zoe Fizz deck that Drissoth was playing. The Elusives package is here in all of them. You have the 12 Targonian Elusives with Esmith, Shadestalker, Sparklefly, Winged Messenger. Zoe was here. Again, he was playing Fizz. And then over in the spell section, you have a big collection of cards that can be used to boost all of your Elusives. The commonplace things now are, of course, the Blessing of Targon, the Targonian Tellstones that can generate more Blessing of Targon, and then the Purifying Flames. If you're looking also within Targon, you can find that thing that gives a unit on the board +1/+1 and a card in your hand +1/+1 as well. We're not playing that, but those were all things that were happening in the original version of the deck. And so from there, additional versions of Zoe came forth. Zoe Teemo came out with some burns. Zoe Poppy came out with the rallies. And we're looking to move this a little bit further by playing Zoe Taric. And so the idea with the Zoe Taric version of this and what we're looking to bring forth today is we already play all of these spells that are so good with Taric, between the 6 copies of Blessing of Targon and then the form-ups and the chain vest that we've added in here. But you do get the big splash. You do get the big high-powered play in the Golden Aegis. And so if you're not familiar with how the Golden Aegis interacts with Taric, let's imagine that it's our opponent's attack token, right? We don't have the ability to attack. We play the Golden Aegis onto Taric. That gives us a rally. We're able to attack for the turn now. And then with Taric's ability, he copies the spell that was cast on him onto the next unit. So we make an attack that eats up our attack token, but Taric copies the Golden Aegis onto the next unit. We get a fresh attack token, and then we get to attack again for the turn. So we get 2 attacks on an opposing attack token with this style of play. Or if it's ours, we can attack, then play Taric, cast the spell on Taric. That gives us a rally, attack, support the Golden Aegis onto another unit, and then have 3 attacks for the turn. And while a lot of times this does really sound like overkill, right? If we have one of these draws to where we play Zoe on turn 1 and Esmith on turn 2 and Winged Messenger on turn 3, then we put a Blessing of Targon onto the Winged Messenger to make it this big 5/6 elusive, and we've been spreading out the +1/+1s across the board. Like those games, you're typically okay with just the singular rally, but every game just doesn't have that complete non-interactive game plan and non-interactive line that we're looking for. And so the kind of nice thing that we get out of this edition of the Golden Aegis Taric package is if we have one of these boards to where we just say we have a 4-attack elusive, right? So say we have a Sparklefly on the board, it has the Blessing of Targon on it, that's great. But attacking for 4 damage isn't really the kind of high-powered play that we're looking for. But if we're able to set up this turn to where we attack with the Sparklefly twice, that deals 8 damage, and then we get to open attack on the next turn for another 4, hitting the opponent for 12 elusive. That is oftentimes enough to just close out these games, and you don't get those kind of really high-powered board-centric plays with these other versions of the deck. And so I really like that kind of aspect that Taric brings to the table, and that he's a big meaty attacker on his own. He can copy the Blessing of Targon onto the other units. That's not something you get from Poppy. Poppy gets a little bit awkward in the sense that if you put Blessing of Targon onto a unit, she's not going to be able to boost it. And then we have a lot of these rally kind of effects that we're looking for that you don't get out of the Bilgewater and you don't get out of the PNZ versions. And so very interesting, very cool there. The other interesting things we have here, just the addition of a cheap combat trick and form up. We're playing form up over that +1/+1 to the unit on the board and the unit in the hand thing. Just a little bit of a more high-powered bursty combat trick as opposed to the permanent bonuses you get out there. And then the addition of Chain Vest. I do really love Tough in this format. There's just so many decks that can only deal a singular point of damage. If you're looking at things like Katarina, if you're looking at things that only have a Bilgewater-based removal package with the likes of Pokey Sticks and Group Shots and Pastry Tosses, the Chain Vest just annihilates all of that removal. And it's still just a very cheap combat trick that lasts and lasts and lasts. And so that is another nice bonus that we get with the addition of Demacia into this deck list, is the Chain Vest and such. And so that's it, man. That's what we're doing battle with today. Let's go ahead, head on in, see if we can't get some good games in. And so we're climbing up fast. This is a very good ladder climbing deck. We're getting the account number 2 leveled up as we can. We're still in the top 100 on account number 1. I think it's sitting at like 600 LP. I'm ready to start grinding that one out. I really want to try and get that one up to 1,000, see if I'm capable of doing it. But for now, we're grinding up the secondary account, seeing what we can do. Still up against Masters players here, right? Disguised Scrub here was sitting at 50 LP Masters, so it's not like we're just playing against complete dum-dums, even though we're down here in gold. And so, reasonable enough start. This is a pretty good matchup against Jax Ornn. They don't have very much interactivity, and so they aren't readily able to shut down a lot of this stuff we do with our elusives, and it can kind of just turn into a big race. And so, reasonable enough start. I didn't want to hang on to the Nightfall unit. It's just going to be too slow coming onto the board. And now we do have this really nice curve of Esmith into Winged Messenger, into Taric. And then when we get a Taric attack, we can drop a Tellstones, get the gigantic mountain of stats out of this thing. Pretty cool, if you ask me. Now our spell landed onto the Winged, or our Esmith bonus landed onto the Winged Messenger. Pretty cool as well. And so let's get ourselves ready for some of these fun and very interactive elusive-based attacks. I love it. I love it. Who wanted to come out here and play games with our opponents? Nah, man. We're just going to come out here and play some solitaire instead. But reasonable redraw with the Lunari Shadestalker. We'll see what opponent does here. Like, they could potentially play a fish fight this turn, and we could get out of the fish fight with the usage of form up, but I don't think we really care. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add in the Shadestalker, get ourselves as much combat power as we can for the turn, and then we'll look to just follow up with Taric and then boost Taric on a later turn. Now, some of the kind of interesting things to take note of against this Ornn deck, assuming we don't play against it again, is we talked a little bit about Chain Vest, which can be quite strong in this match, given the one of the opponent's kind of premier ways to shrink our units is going to be with, or to kill our units is going to be with that forge thing, the AoE. And so if you can eat all of the damage there, it's quite nice to get it removed and protect one of our units. Now with this attack, it's very important to note, opponent can Troll Chant Winged Messenger down to 1 attack, and it's going to lose Elusive. And so I don't want to be putting our Esmith +1/+1 onto the Winged Messenger, given that there's just a pretty good chance it's gonna get Troll Chanted and not survive the round. But opponent didn't have the play, it didn't turn out to matter here. Still looking pretty decent. So let's get our boy Taric on board. We don't need to worry about any of these bros right now. He's not dealing anywhere near enough damage to come in and try and kill us. And so if he does have a hook thing, the entrancing lure to hook in Taric, or if he has a fish fight to kill Taric, that's fine. We're still getting our game plan happening with all of our elusives. He's not dealing any damage, and so I just don't really care. Right? It's not that big of a deal. So on this board, the only combat trick we would have to worry about is catch. And I'm happy enough to throw both our Shadestalker and Winged Messenger out in front of these Artisans. I'm not intending on playing the form up, but it is kind of nice to just come in and prevent this damage, make sure we don't get blown up by a big Ornn attack later on. So he shares these, kills off one unit, but we kill off the other Artisan. Okay, sure thing. Let's just go ahead and get some more stats on board. As it stands, we're coming in for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And so we could just try and get the kill here right out the gates. We picked up a Taric. We're 1 mana short of casting both spells, right? We could look to get +5 for the turn, but let's bring in Taric instead. Forces a little bit of action out of the opponent. He doesn't want to be blocking Taric. He's not on his Ornn turn, so he can't really play a unit big enough to stop him, but he's going to need to get into combat in front of him. So that's a big old favorite Artisan, though. I give you that favorite Artisan. You're pretty big. All right. So we should be hitting for at least 10. He's gonna block Taric with like Combat Cook or something. That's not a big surprise by any stretch of the means. But oh, he just falls to 1. Interesting. Okay. Nope, still feeling pretty good. I assume that he's going to be dropping an Ornn this turn, but he's not incredibly scary. Now we've picked up a Relentless Pursuit to try to finish it now. Oh, he doesn't even have Ornn. Okay. It really kind of forces his hand if we drop the Relentless Pursuit. Can get a Taric flip on the round as well. If we say attack with Esmuth, and then Taric, will flip from those 2 supports, and then the Taric and Vulnerability can be pushed onto the Shadestalker. So if opponent does somehow survive all this nonsense, we have a really powerful blocking board. All right, they drop in the Scout Rake. Could not care less. Drop our Relentless Pursuit. See if we can't get a good battle. I don't know about you, but I do like getting in a good battle. Feels good, man. Make your scout attack. See how much we care. Alright, there comes the squad. We gotta make at least 1 block. We probably want to make 2. He was playing Sharesies, which you don't see all the time. But I don't want him to say Sharesies this Shepherd's Authority onto something and just kill us. And so, like, it's pretty straightforward to want to be making a block onto this big guy. Excuse me. But we need to block more than just that so that we don't get killed by Sharesies.
Hide no longer.
That's probably enough. I feel like we can still like follow up this attack with the Sparklefly, right? And so even if like I don't know what it would be to make everything go completely wrong here. I guess if you play like a Sharesies and a Catch to kill all of our units, we can still play Sparklefly and attack and get the kill that way. But you're doing the work today, Taric. You didn't get to become invulnerable. You didn't get to get all the pretty gems out here. Fabio looking motherfucker. That should really kind of like define the age of the people watching the channel if you know who Fabio is. I hope the dude's doing okay. I think he's still alive. I don't even remember, but he was a male model from like the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't remember what his like main claim to fame was, other than just being like a really good looking dude. I think that he was on a lot of romance novel covers. I think he was the kind of premier romance novel cover where you have like that real juicy guy with the long flowing hair and the ripped open shirt like you very much see with Taric in the picture. But his claim to fame after that was like he was riding a roller coaster somewhere in Europe and like a goose like hit him in the face. And so he was like flying on the roller coaster going like down the big hill, and then like a goose flew out in front of him, blasted his beautiful moneymaker, and that got him in the news for quite a bit. He made an appearance on Friends after that. And, that's the story of Fabio. I hope he's doing well, man. Like for all the weird shit you could really get into the news for, being a good-looking dude getting hit by a bird on a roller coaster, you could certainly do worse than that. But nonetheless, let's move on. All right. Hopefully we'll have the deck tracker up here for you now. I reset everything. It's usually enough. There it goes. We did it. Good job, team. What do we got here? Kayle. This should be elites, right? Kayle, Yuumi, Garen. I'm not entirely certain that that's what we're facing, but seems like what it should be. And I'd like to find something just like a little bit cheaper here. I'm going to hang on to the Winged Messenger. I don't want to get to turn 3 and us have absolutely nothing to do, so we'll keep him just in case. But ideally, we'll pick up a cheaper play along the way, make a little bit more board presence. All right. No rush, guys. No rush. Ooh. Well, that's not a bad combo. Since if we're just gonna sit around and nobody do anything, let's put the +3/+3 on the Sparkle Fly. We'll put the +2/+2 on the Shadestalker. Now we have our Nightfall, so we can get the big Shadestalker on the board, and then we can look to add Sparkle Fly next turn. But we'll give it the big stats so that it can do the maximum life steal and such, if you will. But this feels pretty good. Not too scared of opponent playing out of the way. They don't really look like they're going to have a bunch of elusives with this Kayle and Yuumi team. And so even if they do start to pop off, I feel like our non-interactivity is just going to outpower their combos here. All right, combat time. I'm ready. And he missed on his Bannerman. Whoops. I know those feels, my dude. I know those feels. All right, he's starting to feel the pain and feel the crunch. I think we can just go ahead and add in Taric. Like, he just doesn't really do anything here, though, right? Let's do it this way. We'll do it the proper way. We'll add in the Messenger. We'll look to put the Lodestone onto the Messenger. Again, I still assume opponent's not going to be able to do anything here. Like, what do they do? They're going to play Garen? I don't care if you play Garen. Kayle, same thing. And so let's just continue on this awesome path of non-interactivity. Swing in for 12 elusive. Basically force the opponent to win the game next turn through our gigantic board. It's an interesting spot. I wanted to talk a little bit about Hush in the previous game. I got a little bit off track, but it's important to note where Hush is good, and it is not good against the likes of Jax Ornn, right? They get all of their power off of the equipment, and so as you see Hush, and you're like, oh man, there's that big 10-10 from the opponent. I should probably hush that. You probably at the end of the day don't want to, right? Because that equipment is providing all the power. Your Hush probably won't do anything. But here, this is a different story, right? He's got this this Bannerman. Oh shit, no, that's actually an equipment. My bad. But with the stats that are getting boosted by Kayle and Pale Cascades and Garens and all that, that's all stuff that we can hush away. And so it's a little bit stronger in this match than it was going to be in the previous one. It's a much bigger attack than I initially thought. So much damage listed on here. So let's go ahead and block something. I mean, I feel like as long as we make it to the next turn, this game's going to be completely fine. And so we'll throw away this Winged Messenger that doesn't have Elusive. We'll get in a good block with the Sparkle Fly, heal us almost all the way back to full. Now things should be done with our strong board and our million combat tricks. And so let's see if that's the case. All right, you've been blessed. You've been blessed twice. Unfortunately, those blessings aren't going to be enough. Uh-oh. There it is. Rip. GG. All right. Fun stuff, fun stuff. That's one of the interesting things with the deck, though, right? In the sense that when you're getting into these big races, you can see it in the last game, you can see it in this one as well, as to where we attack, all of our units are unblockable because they have elusive, but when the opponent attacks back to us, their units aren't elusive, so we get to kind of come in and block. And so you can pick one of those spots to where they have a smaller unit and try and take it down, or just throw our worst unit in front of their biggest one. We have a little bit more opportunity for combat than they do. But all right, up against Ryze, we need to be out and aggressive as early as we can in this one, and so I'll hang on to the Shadestalker just again so we have a unit to play in the early game in case everything goes wrong. We can ideally get him onto the board on turn 3, but I don't really want to play it without Nightfall. So we'll go for our biggest play here in the Winged Messenger. We're going to load it up with the Darkened Lodestone this turn. It's kind of an interesting hand that we have with the Bastion and the Taric and the ability to spread the spell shields across multiple units. I'm really curious if that's going to turn up to be relevant in this game. Also kind of interesting in just our ability to deal extra damage with Taric, right? If opponent doesn't have a blocker, it's a very real chance this deck doesn't have blockers if they're just relying on stuns to stop our units to maybe get 4 damage out of the form up instead of just 2. All right, the claws have been deployed though. Look out.
Within my grasp.
Okay. We can add in the Winged Messenger. We're not going to get Taric down on this board. It's not providing anything at the moment. If we still get to make one of those big high-impact plays with Taric and a rally, that would be cool, but as we're kind of facing down these claws, he's not going to do anything in the near future. So we'll add the Sparkle Fly. We're going to add the Lunari Shadestalker. When we attack with the Winged Messenger, we're going to want to put its stats onto the other Winged Messenger so it gets elusive. Ideally, opponent's not going to be able to combat through us here. Now with this, we can form up onto our Sparkle Fly. That's going to make the Winged Messenger the weakest unit. Now it won't die to the Overload. That's pretty cool. We can continue getting more units on board now.
Unseen, unheard.
Let's get in that combat. The thing that would have really sucked with this turn would have been, say, like we're playing all this stuff and then he Concussive Palms our Winged Messenger. But with him only having 3 mana, we don't have to worry about it. Rune Prison has to hit an attacking unit, so he can't preemptively stun the Winged Messenger to stop the bonus from hitting the other Winged Messenger. Look at all these claws of the dragons. Just saying, come on, friends, come on, fam. I wanna get on board and get into the action. So what I'm looking towards this turn and say, we'll see. I wonder, there is I guess a chance that we're just dead. It's kind of hard to pull off here, but there's definitely a non-zero chance that he can just play the 2 runes and kill us. There's nothing we can do about it if that's what's about to happen. And so I'm just going to go ahead and play this out. We'll add all of these cards to the board, and then next turn we'll try and use the Bastion to fight through a stun or a concussive palm if he manages to have a piece of interactivity.
I know what I must do.
Grasping claws.
All right, take it.
You have no idea.
Gets his rune, gets his 2 damage onto the Shadestalker. Sure thing. I'm ready for combat. Interesting he didn't play the thing before combat. Curious about that. Alright, he just generated the rune. He could have had it on board, got those extra abilities.
To thrive, we must truly be free.
Alright, so we'll lose our Shadestalker. I was going to say, the important thing with this turn is being able to deal 3 damage 3 times, right? Opponent's at 9, and we had the 2 power units on board. It's very relevant, the
Now you understand. Enough.
amount of damage rolling through there.
Stand.
What? Who has the bonus thing? Him.
Forgive me.
There we go. We'll see if it's enough. Got our Bastion. We're not going to be able to play a Tellstones this turn. We don't have the mana for all that nonsense, but we're counting on our Bastion here to carry the load. All right, Sparklefly, I believe in you. You're saying there's a chance. All right. Not so much of a chance now. We'll have to see if he's got the last rock to get the kill. We don't have any rallies or anything, so this one's probably done. Sure is. GG. But yeah, that's why we took that a little bit of a harder mulligan in the early game. You're not really looking to play against Ryze and not play any cards until the 3rd turn of the game, and so looking to just get a little bit of that chip damage in, and as you could see how important it was there at the end with opponent being at 3. But GG, on to the next one. Not certain what this is. Shadow Isles with no champions. Is that typically a Mistwraiths deck? I don't know. I'm so used to Mistwraiths playing Nocturnes that it's weird to not see him come in.
Sure is dark, eh? It's all in the wrist,
Okay.
see?
Ephemeral stuff, sure. Alright, well, we have this draw again where it's with the Purifying Flames, and so we'll wait into the next turn, Purifying Flames both of our Shadestalkers, and then get one of them onto the board. Still not certain what opponent's doing. Like, I feel like we should know, but I'm not entirely certain. But here, we'll take the same angle that we did in the last time the Sparklefly made the appearance. We'll give it the +3/+3. It's our higher valued unit here. The lifesteal from it, I would say, is going to be exceptionally important in this match. So, see if we can't get some good usage out of it. And this is fine. The unit we really care about is Sparklefly here, so we don't have to worry about a vengeance on this upcoming turn. So I don't think there's too much to be afraid of. In the chain vest. The bust combos are coming through. You're gonna zing him out of nowhere with this chain vest, right? Yeah, I just realized. I looked down. I was like, "Why is my leg bloody?" Oh, it's from that cat earlier. I didn't have any. I didn't have any protection in my leg zone when the old cat rolled through. But I think we're completely safe here. I don't. It's kind of unfortunate. I don't want to get completely all in on this Sparklefly. Maybe we just add this other Sparklefly, and then depending on how fast opponent goes, we can look to put the Darkened Lodestone on it, and then still have a Chain Vest in case things get a little weird. But I mean, he's only got like 15 damage on board, and we have the 2 healers, so I think the chances of us dying this turn are pretty low. Let's see. Let's get back to this spot to where we're just blocking the big ones, right? I mean, if he has another +2/+2, it does take the Abomination up to 6, but I think we're okay with the second Sparklefly on board. We have all these Blessing of Targons at home to boost our other fly friend. So he comes in with Hate Spike. So if we Chain Vest, that's going to be 2 damage plus 3 damage. That's still enough for a lethal. Or enough for a kill on our Sparklefly. Okay. I think we're safe. And we could have, as you see, this just monstrous crew come down and hit the board. We could have played that a little safer and tried to keep the other Sparklefly alive. I mean, that probably what we should have done. if we're gonna think about it a little bit harder, that's probably what we should have done. But I think this game's still very much in reach for us. So many soul cleaves. All right. Undying doing his work.
For truth.
So we go back up to 15. Opponents at 8. Again, we just need to not die, and I'm still feeling pretty good about that. With the Blessing of Targon onto the Sparklefly, stopping his 5 damage attacker and then gaining us 8. That's a pretty big amount of damage.
Fear not death.
So he's only dealing 4 to us at the end of the day. Okay. Sounds good to me. And now we'll look to... I don't think it'll matter, but we'll look to make a Harazi play. And so even if things went completely wrong that round, we should have been able to add that secondary Sparklefly, add in Harazi, and then hit with a 7 elusive plus 1 other elusive. I'm not even certain if he still had blockers. We probably, with the idea that we are going to play Harazi, we probably should have blocked his physical unit, right? All those Undyings can't actually block. So. Weird though. Getting caught a little off guard off that stuff coming at us. I wasn't expecting most of that. It's very weird that deck's not just playing something like Callista. Well, round 2 against this guy. Is this the first? No, it's not the first time we've seen Esmuth, but he hasn't been showing up in large numbers this game. So I think I'm just going to get rid of everything. I really want to find one more unit for our Esmuth. And just if like we have a handful of combat tricks and nothing to get the bonuses from with him. Doesn't feel that good.
Sure is dark, eh?
I want it to feel good, you know? He's gonna zing us this round, that's for certain. We could block the Cursed Keeper, I guess, and prevent a point of damage. I don't really think this is a deck that's going to be playing Vile Feast. So that could be safe. And then we're just going to be... oh, we're not going to equip a Lodestone next turn. Alright. If this game comes down to that single point of damage, I'm going to be pretty sad. That's one of the perks for the opponent in playing an off-meta deck is not knowing with a real strong feeling as to the entirety of their deck list. But we're pretty close to lethal 2 turns from now. If we look to Blessing of Targon this turn, let me do a quick piece of that mathematics that everyone loves to be doing. And so Blessing of Targon makes Esmus a 3, and so then he has the +1/+1. That'll give the Winged Messenger a bonus. Yeah, we should be lethal next turn if we play a Blessing of Targon. It's a little dangerous given that if opponent has a removal spell, then we're in a pretty terrible spot. So I think I am just going to come in with the Sparkle Fly. He may be too slow for this combat. Nope. Beautiful.
See what's out there.
Alright, so we take 7 for the round. And then we can still lethal off of this, right? It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 8 again. Let's see. See if he tries to pop us with a hate spike or something. Not yet. Not yet. Spend all your mana on something that doesn't matter. That's one of my it's one of my favorite plays. One of my favorite plays. Come in with the rally, see if that's enough. Sure is. GG. And so that's one of the things I'm the only thing I'm not like super certain with is I am playing the 1 copy of Mahari and then with the 4 rallies. The rallies can be quite important. Like when you heard us talking about the Ryze game being like, oh man, we really need a rally to get out of this. You know, having the 5th rally in place of the Mahari could be quite important. It's just still looking to kind of tinker with the deck list a little bit. I like the Mahari in the sense that it's another lifesteal unit. And that's such a strong ability to have that I like having access to it there, but haven't made the full decision on that one. But reasonable enough start here. The first time we see old Zoe, we'll go ahead and run her out. She is at a bit of risk. You know, if opponent has a challenger for the next turn, they can most certainly take her down, but she's not like the key to the deck, right? We're not playing Little Celestials, or we're not playing some kind of Zoe build around. They're mainly just playing her as an elusive that generates the super cool chart. That's great. And then if you do let her sit around for 5 or 6 turns, she does threaten to actually flip. And so you do see that a fair amount in these games, to where we start popping off with, say, a Winged Messenger, and then opponent has to decide, do I want to deal with the 1/1 Zoe, or do I want to deal with the 5/6 Winged Messenger? And she can do some surviving in that sense. But not bad here. We can get our Sparkle Fly going now. I think that's where we want to go. We'll have the Blessing of Targon protection next turn. Right, we can tell stones into the blessing, and so I don't worry about too many tricks for them from that point forward. Like, I guess his dude should have 5 attack, which can be fairly awkward for us, but I think we're still in a good space. And a Calling Strike comes in. That's fine.
Than my arrow,
and Ashe. Let's just pass. Like, I don't want to be blocking this turn. I want to be playing the Purifying Flames, but I wonder if there's ever the chance that opponent just passes on their own, because they don't want to end up losing their Ashe or something in combat. I mean, I guess with him being tapped out at this point, no, we can't Blessing a Targon anyways. We're short on the mana. I was thinking this was going to cost 4. It's not the physical spell. So let's spread the love out. Both of our units are 6 healthers now. Very important up against the 5 attack matters deck to have the 6 health units come in and survive a lot of their nonsense. Don't have to worry about Reckoning this turn either. So hopefully we can make it into the next round and then be much safer with the Tellstones. As I come out and play cards like Sparklefly, I'm curious how much I would have hated the format way back in the day, back when we were still just playing Expeditions. Sparklefly used to be a 2-cost unit, so it was a 1/2 with the elusive lifesteal for 2, but the Aphelios weapon that puts a random 2-cost unit from just a random 2-coster into play. He used to put a 2-cost unit from your deck into play, and so all the Aphelios decks were only playing Sparklefly as their 2-cost unit, because then you were guaranteed to put Sparklefly on the board with your Aphelios weapon. Bunch of nonsense. Bunch of nonsense. I'm glad we were playing Expedition back then. I still fucking hate Aphelios, so... Hate's a harsh word. I don't hate Aphelios. Just don't like him. Still... I save my true hatred for cards like Seraphine and her kin and ilk. Alright, though. Opponent's thinking real hard. Getting some sweet 5/6s on the board. Sure thing. I think we'll probably just pass here. If we actually get into combat, we can make a really big Sparklefly. And then next turn, we're going to look to make a rally attack. So I don't think we have to worry about too much here. Like, this deck doesn't play weird stuff like Elixir of Wrath. It shouldn't be playing any unit boosting combat tricks. Its combat tricks should be stuff like Troll Chant and Flash Freezes. And so I feel pretty safe being able to put our units in front of his units, as long as our units just aren't going to die, right? And so we'll put our 6 healthers in front of his 5 attackers and stuff. Still feel pretty good about this. Ashe is 1 away from flipping. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm still okay with... If he has... Well, he can't even play any more Brittle Steels here, right? He doesn't have the mana for that stuff.
Fear not death.
So I think this is a safe block with the Shadestalker as well. We might have to worry about that nonsense next turn, right? With opponent playing Brittle Steels or Flash Freezes or something and shutting down our attack. But for the moment now, I think this is okay. So let's bring in a Lodestone. The card that gives me a bit of worry is Reckoning, right? I worry that if we say, like, attack, opponent plays a Harsh Winds to freeze 2 of our units, and then our rally isn't that good. Like, it might still be a win if we get to hit with a 4 and a 4, but I ultimately worry about this Harsh Winds coming in, and then next turn, opponent playing Reckoning. So we should be good now. He's only got 1 mana left. I guess he could have the Brittle Steel for the Sparklefly, but this rally should be good enough, I think. Also takes our Sparklefly up to 5 attacks, so it should survive a Reckoning as well. Look at this poor guy, this poor winged messenger out here. I forgot that he doesn't have any attack power, so he's just out here. Interesting, no block. Okay, we win. Nothing wrong with winning. We'll keep the we'll keep the winged messenger at home this time. Poor guy, I didn't mean to put you at risk like that. All right though, GG. Next battle. Alright, on to Annie Katarina. See if our chain vests don't turn up to ruin their day. Be pretty cool, right? I'm curious how much we want Taric in a match like this, given that he can, generate tough on his own. He's probably just too expensive, at least to keep in the opening hand. So get rid of him. I think I'm okay to hang on to our other units. I'd like to find something a little cheaper, but I think at the end of the day, if we're just like going into turn 3 and like playing a unit and then playing an equipment, it's not horrible. It's not the start we really want against a big removal heavy deck like this, but I think it's okay.
Wondrous discoveries await below. To the world below.
All right, aggro conchologist coming in. All right, yeah, it's like I don't think we can just wait forever, right? I start to see these cards like Purifying Flames and be like, if we play a unit, we're not going to get full value out of this thing. And so, did he generate a drop the bomb? Oh, this is not going to be fun. He put 2 spells forward, and so I think I'm okay with it if it's 2 spells. But if he gets to drop the bomb, our Spark will fly because he generated it off of Conchologist. That's a real bummer right there. It's probably just a Ravenous Flock, right? Nope. Y'all's be wondering why I want the chain vest, huh? Say, hey, yo, Bust, what's your deal with wanting to play chain vest so bad? You seen it, huh? You seen it?
Never play
Now
fair.
Katarina. Okay.
Only fools hesitate.
We can take these damages. It's not that big of a deal.
Ha! They'll never know what killed them.
Alright, we'll take those same flames that we did in the previous one, getting the 2 6 health units. Again, they aren't super safe in this matchup, right? They play Disintegrates, so they have ways to take down our high health units, and we don't have any Bastions and don't have any Chain Vests at the moment, so it's not ultra ideal, but hopefully they're only able to answer one of these units this turn.
Invisible.
And then we do get to build up to Harazi, right? Harazi can also be a very important unit in this match, just being the gigantic spell shielder. I mean, if things drag on forever, you can just start generating Behold the Infinites as well. And so, got some interesting angles that can come forth with this. There's a Disintegrate, sure.
Brothers.
I think we are going to be beholding the Infinite. There's nothing else going on. Not quite ready to rally here. So would we prefer the Immortal Fire or the Destroyer? The Destroyer, I think, because we can just play it next turn. And I think we're going to be spending all of our mana over and over and over again now. And so what I'm looking to do is I'm going to take the Destroyer. I'm looking to... Well, I was going to say I'm looking to Blessing of Targon this thing, but let's actually play the Lodestone. It does give us access to Form Up. Probably not going to be playing the Form Up here, but I like having it, especially in the sense that if we play the Destroyer and attack, then like we're not going to be able to do it this turn, but next turn we can say play the Destroyer and attack, Form Up, rally, and then be coming in for 18 total Overwhelm. To where if we start adding in the equipment early, or if we start adding in the Blessing of Targon, we can't do that.
Distance is key.
So we're hitting for 7, and he's popping the spell shield. Okay. Don't think you're going to be long for the world, the Destroyer, but we got to give it a shot. As soon as this Katarina comes down, he can take down the Destroyer, but we are getting pretty close to being able to kill with a Harazi plus an Elusive. Might as well block. Yes, I just wonder if we can ever get into this space to where opponent gets it too aggressive, like if they come in and play Tybalak, and then we could just kill him with a rally. I think it's probably too greedy to envision that kind of line, but I'd love to see it. Right, well, gotta do blocking, unfortunately. I'd say he'll take another rally. Are we just dead? It strikes me as strange in these spaces when they're not attacking with Lord Broadmane. Like, I get that he's a pretty high-powered unit at this point, but yeah, there's the final attack. Okay, GG. Just a little bit too slow out the gates, but it's in spaces like that to where you can definitely see why I want stuff like Chain Vest. It would have immediately won the game. they don't have the answers to it. Their only ways to deal more than 1 point of damage are with Lord Broadmane himself, or generating things like Drop the Bomb off of Conchologist, or playing Tybalak and then like having Tybalak give all of your skills the +1 bonus. And so it's interesting. A lot of that just kind of comes down to the number of matchups to where you think it's going to be effective. Like when we're out here just kind of grinding the ladder, I don't think I'm as excited about trying to play 3 copies of Chain Vest, but as we look towards something like playing in the Runeterra Open, and we're just never going to ban any Katarina, I think there's a lot more potential for it in a place like that. Alright, so I'm going to just take it slow with the Zoe. As far as the opposing removal spells go, they're all like cheap and damage based, and like he's not going to hate spike any of these units on the second turn of the game, but he'll most certainly come in and Vile Feast something. And so I'm okay to take this just a little bit slower. We'll play Esmuth, we'll get some stats in hand, and then ideally after this turn, we can keep the form up and use that as a means to protect our units from his removals. And so, like, Hate Spike, Vile Feast, Vengeance are the cards we're worried about here. We can't do anything about Vengeance, but cards like Hate Spike we can play around. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to play the Lodestone this turn, take the 2 bank into next turn. Next turn, I'm going to play both Zoe and Sparklefly, and we're going to be looking to put the double boost from Esmuth onto the Sparklefly. So we'll see how that plays out. And then if opponent comes down and spends a bunch of mana, we can look to Darken Lodestone instead of playing our form up and get an extra support for the round. So it's going to mainly be kind of up to whether or not they drop below 6 mana. This reeks of a Vengeance. It's unfortunate for our Sparklefly here, but pretty certain that's what's about to come in. Well, This is the way I'm doing it. It's a vengeance, and so I'm not willing to put the mountain of stats onto the Sparklefly and then just have him eat it. This is just like way too obviously a vengeance that's about to come in, and so we have to spread it across the fly and across the Zoe, and see if we can't just be a little more protected next turn. Withering Whale. Doesn't kill anything. Not what I was expecting. Okay. Huh. We'll give that a interesting. I don't know what else to give that one. But a bit of a bummer we don't have any more combat tricks here. We got to get a little invested in this combat. Like, it's not horrible to just give up Zoe. Like, that one's fine. But then moving down further, I don't think we can give up on our Sparklefly here. And so I'm going to form up onto Esmuth. See if we can't survive that one. We should be reasonably safe at 7. Even if he comes in and kills a unit, it's only 1 more additional damage on this Bakai Reaper. So I think that's fine. We'll leave the fly at home. We gotta have something positive happen out of this Sparklefly. Gain a bunch of health. Okay. Still pretty scary though. I mean, it's not like we're packing answers to a we're not packing answers to a Nasus at this point. We just get killed by atrocity, and so I'm a little worried. I'll give it that. And Thresh. Okay. Well. The bad man can't hurt us if the scary cards don't turn up, and so, you know, we might have a bit of a shot. So let's just go for it, right? No reason to play around what you can't beat. So we'll add in the Messenger, we'll add in the Shadestalker. Attack for as much elusive as we can, and then if we don't die next turn, then we're still in it. We got good boosts here. We can boost. Boost Sparklefly. Make our other guy elusive. Come in for 12. All right. So I mean, he's got good attacks next turn, most certainly. But might be able to get out of this. We have, as it is, we have enough blockers for these things, right? He can't set up an attack to where he hooks a unit out of combat and then we can't block his fearsomes. So that's positive. So yeah, let's just block all this stuff. Why not? And then looking to Blessing of Targon the Sparklefly. Gain us a big old bunch of health. We got that good unit ready to go for next turn in terms of closing out the game. And so, maybe, fam. Okay. So do we even want to bother adding Taric at this point? I think we'll have the mana to just do everything. Like, we're only losing out on 1 mana at this point if we don't play him, but well, we do have 8 mana next turn though. Star chart. I think we just want the Serpent. Not really planning on doing anything with it. The idea for next turn is that we're going to play Harazi, and then we can try and kill with Sparklefly, and we can kill with Esmuth, but the Serpent gives us this opportunity to hook Thresh out of combat, or now hook Nasus out of combat. I don't think Nasus is completely scary at this point. You gotta stop and think when you pick up the Relentless Pursuit. It's just gotta be the Harazi. Oh no, we would have died to Atrocity anyways. Oh, come on. We were so close to pulling ahead in this nonsense game, just to have it go down like that. It's gonna make me sad. Just make a sad noise, man. Here comes the Atrocity. He didn't just run it out. He's got to wait half an hour to do it. All right, whatever. It's still, I like how a lot of that went. I like that we were able to gain that big mountain of health right there at the end of the game. I think, I mean, I guess that it didn't turn out to be a vengeance. It so certainly felt like a vengeance there in the middle of the game, and I think we got to play around it well enough as well. But just a little bit short there at the end. We could have reworked things a little bit to prevent a couple of points of damage, but I'm still happy with how that played out. And so in terms of this deck, it has a lot of power to it. Again, the real core of the deck is this piece that isn't really involving Demacia. It's the Zoe, all the elusives, the Darkened Lodestone, and then the combat tricks. And so you have a lot of play outside of that in terms of what you're actually looking to do. And I think the Taric was pretty interesting. We didn't run into any of like the real high-powered plays that I got into in a lot of my practice games, to where you're able to have Taric on board, and then you give him the +3/+3, then you attack and you put the +3/+3 on another unit, and then your opponent has to deal with the realness of your attackers, and then also those Golden Aegis plays. We didn't get to assemble any of those today, but the Taric does give a lot of power in that sense. And so I'm still not like entirely sold on him being one of the kind of premier champions for this style of deck, but the space to where he is strong is we're playing a lot of those kind of control deck matchups, the disintegrate based matchups, and they're able to disintegrate one of your big elusives, and then you need to figure out your way to kind of come in and still close out the game. And one of the stronger ways to be able to do that is to attack 3 times with a single elusive that has 3, 4, 5 attack, and you aren't able to do that without the Taric. You can't get nearly as many attacks in, and so I'll have to give it a little bit more testing to see how I feel about it. But in terms of like playing this deck, if we are going to be playing Taric, I feel pretty good about taking Mahari out and then adding in the second copy of Relentless Pursuit. And the Relentless Pursuit Golden Aegis, if we're going to be playing 5, there's a very strong chance that it should actually be 3 Relentless Pursuits, 2 Golden Aegises, because that extra point of mana does really matter. And the Golden Aegis is realistically only better if we're casting it on Taric. And so I think there's a definite want and desire to make that swap there as well. Otherwise, again, like I really like cards like Chain Vest. It's so strong in the current meta. I don't know if I really want it as a third copy of it as a ladder climber, but it is a very reasonable card to include in your deck if you're looking at this in a best of 3 lineup. And so lots of real power there. Otherwise, pretty good stuff. Good games. I had fun with that. Hope you did too. It's going to do it for us today. And so hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.